Now, we as humanoid, earthling, Terran beings are grounded in this multifaceted, multidimensional experience that we call life. Learning induced flow emulator, that's what we are a part of, and we graduate, we go through the lessons of this earth school, you could call it, as we start to graduate in our scales of consciousness. We start to evolve, we start to mature, we start to deepen ourselves into our own experiences. And we come out of the elixir, and we always come out on the other side with some elixir of life, something we can give back, because it's not about us anymore. It's about the expansion of consciousness. If this resonated with you, you should already know that you're in the right place. You are safe. You are here now. So get present, get some spiritual popcorn. Okay, you don't have to get actual popcorn, but pretend that you're eating actual, like, invisible popcorn just for the sake of it. Okay, just for the gags, laughs. You guys remember those? Let's get started today. I'm Uncle Makara, all relations, which means I'm connected and interconnected to all of the humanoid specimens that we call humans in this day and age. The humans, the many different hues of human beings, the different rays, the different colors of light, the unique synchronicities that each individual carries, also connecting them to the oneness code, a multidimensional experience where we're all connected through this collective consciousness. And this is where we have different ideas coming through, but also it might even be like dream creatures or people or fragments of symbolism that we see, like Philemon, for example, or these random occurrences that happen. Let me tell you today how you can become a shapeshifter. Now, other people might have different opinions, of course, okay? So how do you become a shapeshifter? You shapeshift by understanding that your shape is shiftable. That's as vague as it gets, I understand, but it's not all smoke and mirrors. Hear me out. When you change the shape in your mind of what is possible to you, you then begin to transform in the physical world, because the metaphysical world is the blueprint from which you can edit. Let's just say it slowly starts to leak in to your physical experience, okay? So the first thing you have to understand is which character, which archetype are you really stepping into, and getting really clear on that, right? Because you are going to get this archetype's light and you're going to get this archetype's shadows. And you have to integrate fully by understanding what is this different, like, weird genome code of character development that I just ingested right now. And now the process is taking over, the process is happening, but I don't know what I've gotten myself into. This is where the character specialization, the actualization, the actual skill set of deity yoga, as we call it on our path working, more so character yoga, because really it's not only that you can do this with deities or entities or things that you channel, but you can also do it with different characters, different archetypes, different ideas. Even if you want to merge with a certain idea and you're noticing that it's having a difficulty in your own consciousness to try to latch on to certain concepts, or maybe you notice your limiting belief as a character itself, right? So that you can have much more power over it and power over your own mind, okay? So the truth is in this simple understanding that the more you can remain in witness, awareness, and consciousness, you don't have to let the thoughts rule you and this avatar anymore, right? So once you can silence the mind, you bring it back to Mushin, you are the 0 point of your own creation. From there, now it becomes much more languid, more fluid. You can play with it more. It's like Play-Doh now, right? Reality becomes more malleable if your brain is in a malleable state, if it's in a learning state, a playful state, right? But we forget to play as we grow older as adults. And this is one of the main problems that we have to start reintroducing into our own consciousness, because I could easily go next to a tree, right, and sit next to a tree, and most people, they associate in their minds the Bodhi tree and then poor Siddhartha Gautama Buddha underneath that tree, right? However, think about how simple this understanding is, where he put his hand down to earth and he communicated with earth. So as the demon Maras came around him, he would have this communication with the earth. So this really inspired me. This symbolism really inspired me. And I started to understand, if I can hold a crystal, for instance, I just got an awesome amethyst crystal back there quite recently. And if I can just, touch a rock in my hands, or if I can send it to a specific tree, right? And I start to understand, I merge my consciousness with that natural object, I will start to notice I'm slowly becoming more tree-like. I might feel my spine aligning, realigning, and centering like a tree. I might start to feel more of my roots or the bottom of my feet or my tailbone area a lot more, right? I might feel an activation of that, a pulsation of that. All I'm doing is touching this tree, but I'm using the imagination, which is like a glue for the physical and metaphysical worlds to travel, is through the mind, through the imagination. So you might look at this craft and be like, but you're making this all up. Absolutely we are. Absolutely we are, but that's a part of it. That's the art of it. That's the beauty of it. The fact that it is a facet of your own creation, that it's not just some external force that you're manipulating, but you have a gravity of your own self, therefore you have a gravity of the situation that you've gotten yourself into. You know that this is going to be rampant at first. Anything you learn, when you start learning it, it's going to be a bit chaotic, right? You're going to miss some classes, you're going to go here and there about it, you're going to dabble, but then something hits, you get a gnosis, you get a revelation moment, right? Where everything just starts to click and make sense. These are these Satori breakthrough moments that come through that remind you that there is a greater enlightenment, a greater awakening process taking place, and you need to actually surrender to the source, okay? The source of all creation, that is God, the Most High, whatever you want to call that energy, okay? You have to understand that you have a connectivity. It is like a tissue that's regenerative that you can tap into. It is your individual God or goddess spark that is within you that can help you magnetize and amplify your life in a specific way in a certain direction. So when you surrender to it, there is such a greater power that is there to actually help you through this process of grieving or heartbreak or any of these different things, because you now have a containment, a unity, a unification again of what you're trying to avoid and push away. And this is where shadow work becomes play again. It stops becoming this, bulletproof system, because it can't be. There's always going to be more shadows, right? It's more so creating a containment of the character that can withstand all shadows. Is it not? Right? Like, yes, deal with this shadow, integrate it, maybe lower it in its intensity or whatever, but you're not going to cut that off from your experience, because that's going to feel like you losing a child. If you're getting rid of a shadow, it's getting rid of some part of your identity. And that's not fun for the ego to accept at all, at all. And so we have to involve ourselves with this process very delicately, because humans are delicate, man. We're fragile. We can act all tough and shit. With certain moments, they just hit you, right? They're your little pain points. This is what marketers use to try to manipulate you, to try to buy their products, okay? By the way, if you sign up for... We have something out there for free, guys, right now, okay? Spiritualmasterychallenge.com, okay? It's 5 days. Just go through it. Follow all the 5 days. Do it physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually, okay? You will be cleaned up, and then we can start really getting you to, if you enjoy those 5 days, then you'll definitely enjoy being an adept, and then you'll see how I channel every week, and you'll get to witness and be a part of the community and ask lots of questions to me. I answer all questions there directly, unless, let's say it's a channeling and then the being answers it for them. I find that to be even better, because sometimes my answer is like the earthling answer or whatever, right? The very normalized answer. But then when a being is answering for you, it's like a completely different experience, okay? So very simple. How do you tap into a shape-shifting being? Let's say that I were to use an example of one animal that I want to tap into, right? Like this is ancient shamanism, whatever you want to call it, okay? Astral projection, whatever you want to call it. If you close your eyes right now and you imagine you're in some kind of a jungle or forest and you are a tiger, And you just notice the way that your shoulder blades would even move differently, right? Like if you were on all fours and in the grass and you were tapping into this energy, you would actually feel a more of an activation of this whole area, correct? Because there would be more of this musculature to work with and weave with, right? And so even this movement, ooh, 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 ooh. And if you guys can't see, I'm sitting on a bouncy ball. I've been knees out like this. I'm using my elbows to press against my knees, a little bit further away from my knees. So I have it like this, prayer position, but then I can also go these different ways, right? And I can also go like this, push the energy down. Now there's a lot of different things you can do actually, but this is just something that came up for my body enthusiastically in the moment, spontaneously in the moment. And actually we have to trust that, because that's our subconscious just basically coming back online. And so any trail or thread that you can follow of your subconscious mind leads you into deeper integration of your own character development work, okay? So if you're like, I'm seeing this weird blue light and this color and it's not making any sense, make it make sense for you. Understand what it means. Peer deeper into the insights. Don't just stop at face value and surface level information. This is really what we're encouraging with any of this stuff, right, guys? To be a good student of life, you have to dive deep, as Ralph Samar would say, right? Deep divers, okay? If that jolly man can dive in deep, if he can do that, so can you. Are you not Scuba Steve of your subconscious? Are you just barely scratching the surface with your conscious mind, just like trying to push your way to the top of the mountain? Not knowing that there's a huge hidden realm there to support you, which is your subconscious mind. This is how you shapeshift, my friends. You get into an altered state and then you start to access this different natural pattern. Okay? So let's say that I'm tapping into the consciousness of Elon Musk. I wear his face like a mask. I wear the same clothing as him. I'm imagining all of this, right? I am slowly starting to morph into his worldviews and beliefs. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Right? There's some fragment of his consciousness that does not align with my consciousness. So now I've got to distance away. So this is like cosmic engineering with character work, right? So if you're taking someone's energetic pattern, you have to be very conscious that I'm not taking this old trauma of theirs or something, right? So we have to be very intelligent based on what we're really asking for. If I'm asking for the intelligence of Einstein, I have to make that very specific and particular. Because it's the whole idea of why they say, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. So sometimes when I'll muscle test, right? And by the way, guys, my friends told me that I muscle test in my sleep as well. So I'm working overtime here, okay? But irregardless, I think it's really, really important that I muscle test certain things because I trust my body over my mind, right? My body doesn't really lie to me that much. My mind comes up with all sorts of stories, fabrications, justifications, right? So when I trust my body, it's like, boom, I know. There's a knowingness, there's a truth, consciousness that I can tap into, right? I've been training this for many years. And what I've noticed is if I frame the question slightly differently, it muscle tests differently. So what does that mean? It means that your syntax, the way that you demonstrate certain words, right? The way that you demonstrate certain words in a specific order either realigns it towards a truth consciousness. So let's say that I frame something like, if that were to happen, that's setting it up in the framework of a dimensional time that is in the future, correct? It will happen. That's the language that I used. What if I'm saying, this is happening now, right? Now the power linguistic has taken all that consciousness and taken it through vertical time and embellished it into the present moment again. Are we getting this, guys? This is very advanced stuff. Give me a like for my video. I do all sorts of accents, okay? Just putting that out there. You want me to offend your ancestors, okay? I can, but I'm not going to, but it's funny, right? To me, it's humor. It's hilarious to me to step into different roles. I have a theatrical, dynamic mindset. I understand that, right? It's joyous. It's a celebration for me. It's a celebration of this character that I'm constantly maneuvering through my life and what it has to teach me, right? So shape-shifting your consciousness has always been available to you. You used to do it as a kid, right? You used to just imagine things and walk through a supermarket and imagine you're going through like some kind of a spacecraft or something, right? Your mind would automatically get into a theta wave, daydreamy state, and you'd start doing this. Picking up like a toy lightsaber, pretending it's a sword, right? All these different things, like we naturally would do this. And it would actually start to create our own consciousness of these certain ideas. And these certain ideas were frameworks that allowed us to heal, but we didn't recognize it back then. Now I'm telling you guys, I've been through the journey. I've dusted myself off, okay? All the shadows but I haven't integrated all my shadows. I shouldn't say that. I believe that there's a lot more to the puzzle, right? There's always more to the pieces of the puzzle. So don't just assume it to be like one particular way. Always give it a chance to see if it evolves into something beautiful or not, right? Give it a little grace period for you to observe what's really going on there, okay? I once had to let go of a specific being because they're becoming too attached to me and my energy, right? They were starting to invade my personal and private space. And that's a no-no, okay? That is something for you to preserve and protect for yourself. And you're allowed to set boundaries with these specific beings, right? That's an energetic container for you to understand that I do not mess with this kind of an energy. Leave me alone, please. You need some way of saying that or doing that, right? So whether you are tapping into a celebratory consciousness, it could just be that you're off in your celebration and that invites in a specific entity attachment. What do I mean by this, guys? I'm just making you more aware of these things. If you're out at a party celebrating and you're really very low in a state of consciousness, like you're very depressed, anxious, there's a lot of built up guilt, shame, whatever you haven't worked through, and now you're in a space where you're drinking a lot. By the way, it's called spirits, right? When you drink alcohol. You're allowing spirit possession willingly, right? So you're drinking and you're getting into an intoxicated, inebriated state. And of course, something else is taking over you that night, right? You don't know what it is, but there's this weird energetic exchange. This is what the shamans understood when they would ingest a piece of meat. They would become that specific animal or whatever, right? It's the same idea of this merging. So you have to be very conscious of how you are drinking, either that or you have to stop, pursuing this as a sport, okay? Because once you pursue it as a sport, it creates this weird pattern of competitiveness in your own mind that I have to do it like this, otherwise. And if you set up way too many ultimatums for yourself in your life, you won't have that feeling of freedom, authenticity, expansion, okay? If you're too wrapped up in your own storyline and you're in your own little echo chambers, not being able to come out of that, you need to start to engage with the world, okay? Engage with the world, engage with different kinds of people. I've been lucky to go to different international schools growing up, so I've met people from many different cultures. And so I'm able to connect with a lot of people, and that's a blessing, that's a real blessing, because I get to understand and connect with so many like minds and like hearts. And, you can shapeshift any moment you decide to. Okay, let's just say that. Okay, you don't need someone's approval, someone's permission slip for you to shapeshift. If you want, you can tap into being a werewolf tomorrow, okay? Using your imagination, right? It is going to make you amp up. Let's say you're a werewolf before you go to the gym. Very powerful practice, right? Maybe you do this already without even knowing that you do it. right? Don't you fantasize about wanting to be different characters or like going through different visions and vision quests and things like this? I do. And this is what AI is trying to create for us now. So it'll be very, very tempting to step into those virtual worlds thinking that we're making spiritual expansion when really we're going backwards, right? So they've made it so choose your own adventure novel that it had to take away from our own real world, okay? And guess what? We're here to create a tantric tycoon society where wealth and abundance and prosperity can thrive, but so can higher states of consciousness. Okay? It's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of inner turmoil, grieving, transformation work that goes through this process, but we are at a 9-year. This will be a process of completion. This will be something that regenerates within us to teach us the greatest lessons ever told. Let's get it. Let's create the greatest story ever told. Let's create the best movie yet. I'm going to do it differently this time. Okay, let's get it. Upward Spiral. Boom.